I'm still Brittany.
Still Kendall.
And I'm Mike.
Listen, if you dedicated the 4 hours of your life to the Oscars, or you didn't, you're in the right place because we all did collectively. So that's 12 hours between us. The Oscars kicked off. We had Conan O'Brien hosting. And I'd love to hear, where did you guys fall with his hosting duties?
I loved it. I thought he did a great job. My husband's a huge Conan O'Brien fan.
Yeah, I am too.
So I was like, this could play into my feelings because he was lolling the entire time. But I really did think he did a nice job of, keeping things on track while also being funny. And then in the moments that required him to be a little more serious, taking that, even though you could tell he felt a little uncomfortable because it's not his lane normally. I thought he did a great job.
Mike?
I thought he was a pro's pro. I thought it was awesome. I thought
too.
it felt like he's done it before, even though you said he hasn't, and it was a big deal. But I loved how he made the idea of everything we hate about the award shows taking too long and just dragging on. He turned that into an entire bit, and I thought it was hilarious, and he was great.
I loved it too. I thought he did a great job. Like you said, he just knows what he's doing. He doesn't get thrown off. He calls out the thing where he's like, no, Timmy said no. Okay. All right. Next thing, here's his, when he kicked it off, here's some of his fun jokes that he had about Best Picture noms.
Wicked is nominated tonight in 10 categories. It's the perfect movie for anyone who's ever finished watching The Wizard of Oz and thought, sure, but where did all the minor characters go to college? No, I love The Brutalist. I really did. I didn't want it to end, and luckily it didn't. Movie Conclave is nominated for Best Picture tonight. If you haven't seen Conclave, its logline is, a movie about the Catholic Church, but don't worry.
So, yeah, I just thought there was a perfect one. And then he's very goofy. So I was kind of checking in with some different people who don't, really appreciate the goofiness, and they weren't big fans. But that's who he is.
He didn't like the sand. No, like those people, if they didn't like the sandworm dumb bit.
Yeah, they're not going to like it.
Why? Like, it was so funny.
But you know what I mean? Like, I know, like, my mom walks that line. My stepdad was probably like, no, that's not my thing. And I checked in with my workout group, and they were on the fence about it, but it's fine.
By the way, I've never noticed it more than last night, and I'm kind of surprised he didn't make a joke out of it. He looks like Elon Musk, and Elon Musk looks like Conan O'Brien.
The squareness of their heads, kind of.
And the big forehead. I had a moment last night where I was like, huh.
Interesting.
I know, right? And he likes to make fun of himself, so.
I do have to say, there were some upsets.
See, Mike?
I'm looking at it up.
He's looking at it. Sorry. I see his face. I'm like, see?
I see. There's a lot of forehead going on.
There's some upsets to be had. And here's a list of the main winners montage, and we'll go through what they are.
Sorry, I was looking at pictures of Elon Musk, and
he's really busy.
The Oscar goes to Kieran Culkin.
That's Best Supporting Actor.
And the Oscar goes to Zoe Saldana.
Best Supporting
The Oscar
Actress.
goes to Adrian Brody.
Best Actor.
And the Oscar goes to Mikey Madison.
Best
And
Actress.
the Oscar goes to Honora Sean Baker.
And that's
For Best Picture.
And the Oscar goes to
Honora.
Yeah. I mean, Honora swept it.
it's funny. That's everything that I said. It's
Yeah,
crazy
you want to
how
talk
that
about
works.
that? I was wondering how long it would take to start
By the
talking
way, this
about
coffee
this.
is delicious.
Winner's coffee. We had our bets. I lost. I got 2 right. Kendall got 3 right. Mike, how many did you get right?
6 out of 8.
That's pretty impressive.
I crushed the big ones.
Yeah.
And did you picked Honora?
I picked Honora to win Best
That
Picture.
just blows my mind.
I picked Mikey Madison. Again, I didn't see Honora. I was just, I'm in the odds. I'm reading the tea leaves. I'm trying to figure out exactly where things are going. And in the entire award season, it just kept, from the BAFTAs on, it just kept feeling more and more momentum towards Conclave, more and more momentum with Nora. And ultimately, they passed Brutalist.
Did you feel like, so you stuck to the odds?
Not necessarily, because Mikey Madison was an upset.
Yeah.
I just felt like Demi Moore was definitely the favorite to win that one. It was like a 60% chance she was going to win. So win against that one. But the Best Picture was, Honora was by the end the favorite.
And we need to talk about this. So the substance, the whole concept of that movie is about the concept of, at the time there was this exercise actress who gets replaced by a younger version of herself. And it feels like The Substance played out in some ways a little bit with Demi Moore getting the snub and Mikey Madison winning this award. And I say this watching both of these movies. And the idea that Mikey Madison, out of all of these people, won Best Actress is jaw-dropping. It is, yes. And she did well. She did great.
You're doing great, sweetie.
But it's not subtle acting either. It's like over the top screaming or having sex or doing a strip tease or naked. So it's not.
It's just wild to you that she would win over someone like Demi Moore, who, even if you didn't see the movie The Substance, and even what they just showed at the Oscars, just watching the Oscars, you saw the different characters and movement that she makes throughout the movie. That was my feeling of it, because I haven't watched it, The Substance. I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize her character goes through so many things.
Or Cynthia Erivo. I mean, if we're looking at who had the best performance, Cynthia Erivo not only acted, sang, did, these extreme acrobatic stunts. Mm-hmm. And we're giving it to Mikey Madison. I am actually jaw on the floor. I literally cannot believe that she won this. And I liked Mikey. And I think that she will be a great actress. This is like her second major movie she's been in. And I don't think, and we're going to go more into detail about the Honora of it all at 3:40. We're going to get Dawn in here, too, because she'd seen the movie as well. And I just think I want to know who's voting at this point. Show me names.
So my sister watched all of the movies on the list, like everyone that's up for Best Picture or Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress. She did it all. And she actually said Fernanda Torres, who did I'm Still Here, the movie that we ended up not seeing, she's like, that is the woman who should win Best Actress. She's like, she was unbelievable as this character. So it's interesting that you named two other people. She named this person, and I had no idea. I mean, Mike, you obviously saw this coming, but from the reviews that I heard from Brittany and just from the general idea of what this character was, it seemed very weird to me that was the character even that you would give it to. Not like because she's a sex worker, but because it's not like a super complicated character, right?
Yeah, and I haven't seen it, so it's hard for me to speak upon it. There's a podcast I enjoy listening to that's normally focused on fantasy football, but he always wraps up with his favorite movies of the year. And as I'm listening to this thing, him and the person he had on both said Honora was their favorite movie of the year. And they normally tier more in the, I'll say, movie snob, artsy version of what's good and what's bad. So I did have a little bit of context from their take. And again, there was a lot of people, and that's who generally is voting. You're going to have more of these art type people looking for the art house movies. It was cool that I have a movie that is so independent, like an independent film like Honora, to do have so much success last night. But that's kind of who's voting.
Yeah.
So understanding that's who's voting usually is going to start changing things.
I'm curious what you guys, you both, I really loved Conclave too, but you both really loved Conclave. It didn't get shut out, but almost shut out. That was surprising. And same with A Complete Unknown.
I'm not shocked by A Complete Unknown. I think A Complete Unknown falls kind of in the wicket of it all. It just doesn't need it. It's a concert-y film.
Okay.
Even though I do feel I wouldn't have been shocked. I thought if Timothée Chalamet won it because he really transformed it, everyone felt that way about it. But I am surprised Conclave. It's hard because I think that I'm surprised Conclave didn't get at least best editing, because the edit on Conclave, we're talking about these men, these gossipy little cardinals running around, and they were able to create a whole narrative we didn't go anywhere. We stayed in the Vatican. And I thought that was done super well. So.
And Conclave was my favorite movie of the year. I said that, but I also said I think The Brutalist was a better movie. And so we did get, The Brutalist got a little bit of love, but I was a little surprised to see it kind of drop down. It was it was a masterpiece. When you watch The Brutalist, you're like, I'm watching something very, very, very special. Sometimes Conclave, it felt like a movie you're watching on Peacock.
Yeah.
Like they were feeding you. It was like, this is the Best Picture nominee that's going to be on Peacock. Like they wanted us to sometimes they force-fed the narrative a little too much to us.
Right.
All right, now if they vote again, this is the percentage that's needed. It's like, yeah, we get it. We know how the movie works.
I'm with you. Yeah.
It felt a little forced.
And it's funny that you bring up those two because I was thinking about all that with original score. Mike, I know that you loved the music in Conclave and then the Brutalist twins. And honest to God, the guy who wrote the music with the Brutalist, he was so awkward and I wanted to give him a hug and you could tell everybody loved him. That was one of my favorite little like moments of the night that was so unexpected.
That man should be in films.
Oh, that he would want to die if he was in films. Did you see him accepting an award?
Oh, no. I get the anxiety of it all. We need to tranquilize him. He has the most interesting bone structure. He is like, there's something about him where I go, this man, I've never seen a face like that.
That's interesting because he's very thin and
no, I don't even mean hot. I'm not even saying hot.
He's your type though.
No.
I'm leading to.
I know, I get what you're saying, but I'm telling you, he's so interesting. He's almost cartoonish. Like it was just a startling. I mean, I thought, wow, this guy's got the most unique looking face I've ever seen in my life. But I wasn't trying to go like I felt like a hot person, but he was very interesting looking. Tallulah Willis also felt like her mom got the snub. She posted a picture of Demi Moore eating an insane amount of fries. They had like 2 giant servings of fries, and she wrote, "My winner." And I would like to know, because there was, if you looked at Demi's face when she lost, it wasn't like a good for her kind of face. And I know we can't really read into any of that, but I would like to know what she felt about that.
God, you would just have that moment of like, I've never won this. I never get nominated for these things. It's a huge deal. And then you win all the other ones that should lead you into winning this.
I know.
And you've got to have that feeling in the back of your head, like, I'm not going to win, am I? Like, I know. Like, it would be too perfect, even though it's how it worked out for Kieran Culkin. You know, like, even though that's how it worked out for Zoe Saldana. Like, it just is as weird as it sounds, because Demi Moore is like perfection. You go, I feel bad for Demi Moore.
I think like you said, is really hit on something, is the whole process really led her to believe that this is what was going to happen.
Right.
And being told that, I'm sure she was, going into this sports season, you have to do the interviews, you have to do the stuff, you show up, whatever. They put her in front and center, and she's always on. And then to go, oh, like this, what they, because the Oscars know. They know who's going to win or lose.
You don't want to get your hopes up, but like you do.
I will say this, Mikey Madison was the more interesting pick, which would make a better show, which I know people are voting, and I have a feeling it's a more male demographic, which sometimes likes to convey that sex can be translated into having a more interesting plot, is all I'm going to say, because I don't know where you find the intriguing part of this besides great acting and a plot that's been done a bunch.
But I'll also say you don't often see body horrors having success like this in the Oscars.
True.
Like, The Substance gets insanely gross and brutal and over the top. And you even said this yourself. You were like, man, it was turning me off. So again, body horror technically usually doesn't get a lot of love. And that's exactly what she was playing.
Yeah.
I mean, they even made fun of it the very beginning when Conan came out of her body in that very disgusting, over the top, gruesome way. So I don't know. The gore factor of that movie, I couldn't watch it. I will never watch that one.
And I don't think The Substance should have won, but Demi was really good in it. So I'm with you. And it's true. Horror does not do well in the Oscars. Horror is the most looked down on group. That's why Nosferatu wasn't going to be up for much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
We have a possible couple. Do you guys remember how we've talked about Andrew Garfield and Monica Barbaro? Well, they were seen not only secretly coming to the Oscars together, they were also seen leaving an Oscar party together. So,
hey,
following up after them hanging out. Were they in London?
They were in London, yeah. They were, I think, at Richard II or something, a play in London where we first saw the two of them in the crowd together. And it was interesting. They arrived, they left, but they chose not to do the red carpet together.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know.
Well, so Monica Barbaro was up for, as we know, Best Supporting Actress for A Complete Unknown. Yes. And I would think that if you want to keep your relationship pretty quiet, you're not going to debut it at the Oscars. So it's like, this is her moment. She's just going to do it by herself.
Totally.
It makes sense to me. I loved Amelia, your favorite chicken shop.
Yeah.
Amelia got to interview her on the red carpet.
Yeah.
And if you guys remember, we played the little clip from when Amelia did an interview with Andrew Garfield, because there'd always been jokes that they had like this tension, this chemistry.
Insane chemistry.
They did a chicken shop interview, and it was funny. It was cute, whatever. Like, it didn't lead to anything. And so she goes up, Amelia, who does chicken shop, goes up to his now alleged girlfriend, Monica Barbaro, and she's like, I heard we have something in common, Amelia says. And Monica's like, what? And she goes, was your first foray into theater A Midsummer Night's Dream? So she goes, yes. And then she's like, that's what I thought you were going to say. Like, it was very coy. It was super cute.
That's amazing.
I just thought it was a funny little follow-up. Like,
I love
there
that.
we go.
And if you didn't watch A Complete Unknown, she was also the female pilot in Top Gun Maverick, a movie I know everybody watched. So, and she was fantastic there in that movie, and she was amazing as Joan Baez. Just the fact that because I think someone talked about it, it took Timothée Chalamet like 5 years to prepare for his role. She got cast like a year before. So she learned guitar, learned all the songs, learned to be the person in less than a year.
That's impressive. Also, Timothy, step it up. Like, it took you that long?
Come on, buddy.
Come on.
Can do it.
Adrian Brody, as we talked about before, he took home the Best Actor award, and he stood in his moment for quite a while. He had the longest speech in Oscar history. It was almost 6 minutes long, after noting that he wasn't going to make this long, and then continuing to go on and on about how he wasn't going to make this long midway through it. So it was very funny.
He even yelled at the sound guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've been here
quietly.
before.
I've been here before.
He was like, please, please, please.
I've been
loved
here
his speech.
before.
I really did.
Yeah, it was good.
I mean, it was so heartfelt. It was very sweet. I really liked his speech. I will say, could he not have swallowed his gum? Did he have to throw his gum in his if you missed it, he gets halfway up the stairs and he's like, oh crap, I've got gum in my mouth. Like, spits it out, and then his partner is like, and like kind of runs after him and takes it from him, but she chucks the gum at her so that she could. I mean, it was a moment of panic.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you couldn't have swallowed the gum. You know that's not going to stay in your stomach for 7 years, right?
I will say this: it is pretty endearing when you see a couple that's not going to cause a big fight. Like, they were both like, care. Throw the gum at me. Yeah. This is your moment, and I also know I can throw the gum at you, and this is fine. It's pretty cool when you see something like that.
I thought, I just was like. Like that moment of like, I can't do anything with this.
Take it
from me.
But Kieran Culkin once put it in Jesse Eisenberg's hand when he won an award.
Can we talk about Kieran Culkin, by the way?
Of course.
Hey, so you promised me a third baby after the last win, and then you told me I'll give you a fourth baby if you win an Oscar.
You skipped a part. He was like, and people terrorized you for weeks after, and you actually hated it, and you told me how terrible it was. Well, guess what, baby girl? You said I could have a fourth kid, and now I'm calling it in.
It was sweet.
It was so sweet. She deals with a lot. That guy's a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but they're probably rich as hell, so
I think that's funny. You always
fine.
Yeah, that's funny. That's
like
you're like, I'd be fine as long as they're rich as hell. I'll deal with this.
He seems like a nice, cool guy too. He doesn't seem like a terrible person. I'm not saying like, oh, you should be with him only for his money. I meant he seems like a lot and goofy, but she's also like, whatever, and he makes a lot of money.
He seems manic a lot, like, you know, and especially when he talks about he doesn't wake up early. What do you mean you don't wake up early? You have 3 kids. No wonder she doesn't want a 4th kid. Like, he literally, remember when he talked about his set times? He goes, yeah, I usually wake up 4 minutes after I'm supposed to be downstairs. Like, what?
I don't think he shuts off either.
No.
He's the type, and it was funny. I recently saw Mark Ruffalo talk that story again where he switched out the blunt. Remember the story? They were doing that play?
Yeah.
And he had
not fun.
Like, what are you talking about?
Why?
So, yeah, if he thought that's a funny prank, then, yeah, he's going to be, he's a lot.
He's a lot. I think she deals with a lot.
When you guys, Zoe Saldana, thank you to her, like how she yelled, mommy. Like her initial, immediate, manic, speaking of, reaction is to just find her mom, and then addressing her husband is like, and your beautiful hair.
I know.
So
you know what she looks like, her husband looks like? Looks like Dez's husband.
I don't know what he looks like.
Okay, well, they do music together. They do concerts all the time all over the place. Des and they're over at another radio station here in the building, KS95. Looks just like him. Like they were married to the same person.
I thought he kind of looked like Joey from Love Is Blind. But
I guess all long-haired men look the same
necessarily,
to us.
but
I think
in
so,
this case.
because I'm saying yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm going, I think they do. Maybe I have or man blindness.
I just thought like that little speech was also just so sweet. And how she was like, the fact that, this was the language that I grew up being rocked to sleep to. And she's like, I'm the first Puerto Rican woman to win this. And it just was like, this is my award was in my language. Like I thought that was, and she got to go back to dancing.
Yeah.
Center stage. Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was. I just kept thinking every time they'd show clips of it, I'm like, this movie does look awful.
But she was so good.
Yes, no, there's no denying that. But it's funny because I would just think about you, Kendall, being like, no, it was pretty bad. Like, they do the clips and they're like, this is a moment where it describes this. I'm like, oh.
No, and like the message behind it is so beautiful, right? Like the trans experience.
Totally.
And like, I was like, I want to love this because that's such a beautiful thing to be like, look at, but the actual film of let's like start dancing and singing randomly. Just,
yeah,
it was a thing. Okay. So in memoriam, they always do the in memoriam piece. I thought, by the way, Morgan Freeman looking real old and it made me real sad. Anybody else?
I just, you know what I loved? His voice is exactly the same still.
Always, yes.
And I loved hearing it. It just kind of like shook me to my core going, oh my God, he hasn't lost that voice.
If you missed it, he came on to speak about Gene Hackman because they were friends. And that's what Jordan and I both, my husband and I both were like, oh, Morgan. Okay, so they, of course, talked about David Lynch, Maggie Smith, Donald Sutherland, James Earl Jones, all these names that you're like, I forgot that they passed away this year. There's always a couple that they leave out. Shannon Doherty was not mentioned. Michelle Trachtenberg, who just passed away on Wednesday, was not. A couple of filmmakers and behind the scenes folks like Morgan Spurlock was not named. Linda Levine and Olivia Hussey, who I guess was the original Romeo and Juliet. There's not a ton, but those are the ones that people are like, hey, how could you leave this person out of the in memoriam? But I didn't realize this, but a group within the committee selects who is going to be in this 4-minute piece. And they're like, here's the deal. There are so many people in the film industry that if we didn't just sparse it out, like this would take the entire show. And then they have to, once they pick who is going to be in the in memoriam, they have to basically keep a lid on it because they don't want the hate mail. They don't want the feedback. They're like, we just keep it a big old quiet secret and put it together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like every year you feel bad because you go, there's only so many, but I don't know. I don't know how to solve that, right? Like, could you have dual pictures and you don't give as much attention, or I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
One thing too, before we have to go, can we talk about the Wicked Open?
Oh,
yes.
Oh,
So
I
good.
was crying. It was
so beautiful.
amazing with like that shot of Ariana Grande with the Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And then Cynthia Erivo walks out. Like, that was
so beautiful. I loved it when Ariana Grande was watching Cynthia Erivo take over and seeing her face. She's just so genuinely excited. And it was so beautiful. And I think that was a nod to, hey, we know that Wicked was most people's favorite movie this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's not getting anything. So here's a moment where it can shine and sit on a pedestal like it deserves.
Well, it was a great open, too. I mean, the James Bond one was interesting.
It was unnecessary and stupid.
It felt like someone
The
died.
Bond one?
Yes.
I didn't think it was unnecessary and stupid.
Wow. You didn't enjoy it at all? None of the performances?
I just go, what are we doing here? Because obviously this is paid to be in there.
Well, this was celebrating Barbara Broccoli and Michael Smith. They're never going to be choosing how those movies are
was a goodbye.
operated for going forward. It's a 60-year goodbye.
Yeah. It's not going, though.
It is, though.
Yes, it is.
It's going in
They're
different
gonna make
hands.
it
It's
into
going to
Marvel
streaming,
universe.
and it's going to be a streaming show and all this other stuff. It's going to be over. It's going to be like the Star Wars universe and just played out.
It's a fake farewell tour.
Oh, man.
I
loved it.
I liked it. I just think they should have gotten Adele.
Plus, there was an Eras Tour dancer on it. I can't believe you didn't like that part.
Oh, God. There's always a Taylor connection.